I finally got to watch a movie that I've been dreading to watch since last year, but timing is everything. And that movie is Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo, when I first heard about it, I'm saying, like, is this a racing movie? Okay, I like racing movies. But then when I started watching it the other day, I noticed that it's based on a true story. I'm a sucker for true story movies. But I knew coming in, I said, a lot of these things are going to be fictionalized because when it's based on a true story or inspired by a true story, a lot of things will be fictionalized or go over the top. So I came with that mindset. So I was like, okay, let me watch the movie. It is one of my favorite movies of 2023. This movie was directed by Neil Blomkamp, and I never recognized who he was, but then when I started doing some research on him recently, I noticed that he mostly directs sci-fi movies like District 9 and Chappie. Both movies I haven't really seen it, so there, and I never really like paid attention to it. But after watching this movie, I'm definitely gonna be paying attention to this director. He is clearly very talented. I can tell a lot of hard work and effort was put into making this movie. This movie is well directed, great visual effects. I love the racing sequences of this movie. The cast did a phenomenal job, even though I felt like there were some cast members that didn't act all the way to the point where it didn't seem as believable, but the main characters definitely brought it. The biggest weakness for me about this movie was the screenplay. Not that the screenplay was whack or that it sucked, but it was average and it could have been so much better. If the script would have been more creative, then this movie would have been on a whole different level. But this movie is fun, it's entertaining. For the average viewer that doesn't pay too much attention to the nuances of a movie, they're not gonna make a big deal out of it. But this is a movie where I like it, I enjoyed it a lot, but you know, there were several cliches about this movie. So I wish the script could have been much more stronger, more creative. I don't know if Sony and PlayStation and even Columbia has something to do with that, because they were attached to the film in terms of distribution and, you know, producing everything. Jason Hall and Zach Baylin, both of them before this movie, they've had some success. Jason wrote American Sniper, which he got nominated for an Oscar for adapted screenplay. As for Zach Baylin, he wrote King Richard and he wrote Creed 3. He wrote Creed 3 with Ryan Coogler, if I'm not mistaken. For King Richard, he got nominated for original screenplay. So both men have success before writing this script. And I just wish that both of these guys could have been more creative. Again, I don't know if the studios had something to do with that, but I felt that there were certain scenes in the movie that was rushed. For example, there's a part in Act 2, a very serious moment in Act 2, that could have been expanded more, and it didn't, which it left a little bit disappointed in me because it was a really serious moment. But that was one thing. Yeah, I just felt like there were certain parts of the movie where I felt like it was rushed or that should have been expanded more. And that's why from a script standpoint, that was the biggest weakness out of everything. But I like the cinematography, the visual effects, the directing, the editing. It was phenomenal, even the performance as well. Jaimin Hunsu, who is a very talented actor, who's an established actor, I feel that every scene that he did in this movie, he knocked it out the ballpark. I felt like his character could have been given much more material. So from a Rain standpoint, I wish I could have seen that more. There's a specific moment in Act 3, which is a very touching moment of the movie. Definitely one of my favorite scenes. Every scene with Jaimin and Archie, who plays the main character, John, in the movie, their scenes together are some of my favorite scenes. The scenes in Tokyo, Japan are also some of my favorites. But the one actor in this movie that was the heartbeat of Gran Turismo is David Harbour. David Harbour did an amazing job. You can only do so much with the script, but it takes the actor to really transform the character to a whole different level. That's why casting is very important. And whoever cast David for this movie, bravo, bravo, bravo. Phenomenal job, phenomenal job. David plays the character of Jack, a former racer, and the scenes with him and John is the MVP of the movie. Like, as much as I wanted to see a father and son dynamic between Jaimin and Archie, because both father and son, they had this disagreement where the father doesn't really approve of his son's ambition of wanting to be a racer, a car racer. We've seen that before in terms of a father and a son, or a parent and a kid, you know, having differences when it comes to career choices. As much as I wanted to see more scenes between them, but at the same time, I don't blame the studio or the production team, or in general, that they wanted Jan and Jack's chemistry to be the ideal father and son. So at the beginning, you saw that both of them, you know, didn't really click, or Jack was like very grumpy or out of it. But then you saw their chemistry starting to build little by little. John's character, he struggled in his first race, but then you saw him slowly climbing up the ranks. And it took a character like Jack, played by David Harbour, to really bring out the best out of him, training him right, just guiding him into the right direction and putting him in a winning path. This is an underdog, heartwarming story, and this is one of those rare sports movies where tears almost came down out of my eyes because of the last 10-15 minutes of the movie. I'm doing my best not to spoil anything, but wow, those last 10-15 minutes of the movie, it was moving, very moving. But David Harbour, he is my favorite character in this movie. Without him, this movie would have not been as good. I mean, you can only do so much with the script, but again, it takes a certain actor to bring that fire, that personality, and David Harbour just did that. Archie was great as well. Archie's my second favorite actor in this. I would say Archie, David, and Jaimin. Those are my three favorites in this movie. So now, is it better than Ford versus Ferrari? No. Is it better than a movie like Need for Speed? Yes. And by the way, I will be making a review sometime soon on Need for Speed. I gotta rewatch it again. It's a movie that is starring Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad. And I remember I went to the theaters to see that movie. This movie had potential to be great. It's a good movie, but it had potential to be great. Now it's time for the review. From 1 through 5, I'm gonna say it's a 3.9 out of 5 stars. I recommend it if you're into sports, if you're into racing, driving. This movie is definitely for you. If not, then look elsewhere. But I feel like, again, if you like driving, if you like racing, if you like sports, if you like movies that are based on a true story, you won't regret watching this one. And it's on Netflix, by the way, so if you have Netflix, check it out. Thank you for watching this video. Please hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, be safe, and may God bless you all.